Greetings and welcome to Nine Ether Truth. I'm your host, Trinity Goddess. The title of this video is Yes, the Black Woman is God. And here's why. A few things I want to get out of the way first. There is a Yeti, a lower life form, who tried to subscribe to my channel. I unsubscribed him and then he subscribed again. Well, Yeti, I went on your page. I blocked you and I also reported you to YouTube. All right. Another PSA, public service announcement, I want to get out before I go into this video is I want to address the Y chromosome brothers. I realize that everyone is different. Everyone has their own mentality, unique personality, and of course you're on different levels of knowledge obtaining. To you, my Y chromosome, I say, if the shoe does not fit, don't wear it. I put this information out strictly for educational purposes and teaching purposes. My intent is good. I don't mean to disrespect or offend any one of you. That being stated, truth and facts don't give a fuck about your feelings. You're going to have to grow thick skin, conjure up however much courage that you can to receive the information, and try not to be afflicted with cognitive dissonance, and try not to drown in your emotion. I always say, check your emotions at the door when you are watching and listening to my videos. Okay, so without further ado, let's get started. Now, I need to put a disclaimer out. Obviously, I don't know everything. I'm still researching. However, I was able to piece together the puzzle by going to various sources and then just putting everything together 360 degrees. There's a lot in our story that is missing or that was just destroyed. So I have to go on the available books and information that I have gathered. However, the information that I have gathered makes logical, sound sense, and it resonates with me as being factual 360 degrees. Remember that information is not only tangible, it's also spiritual. Sometimes I just get frequencies and vibrations, downloads from the ancestral realm, from the ethers, and that's good, that's valid, and that's credible. Because there's a reason why this thought, this notion, this idea popped into my head. I wanted to put this video out because I don't feel that what is already out there in terms of Black Woman as God is sufficient. I don't think that anyone goes deep enough, and I certainly don't think that anyone that has information out there about Black Woman as God goes into the chronological order of things. Now, there's no such thing as time. I'm well aware we are in a cyclical existence. We are on a cycle. Sometimes I will say time just so that everyone can be on the same page. However, I fully understand and understand there's no such thing as time. Okay, first of all, I put black in the title. And I fully know that we are not black. If you look up the etymology of the word black, it means pale and bleached out. So I just put that so that people will click on it and be on the same page. However, we are nine ethers, we're melanated Nubians. I am well aware of that. Okay. So, without further ado, let's get started. In the beginning, or as the Bible states, the first book of Genesis. Now, when you break the word Genesis down, it really means the gene of Isis, the gene of Osset, meaning the first original melanated woman. That would be God herself. Now, let me pause for a moment. Some Y chromosome crybabies want to go on social media and put out pictures of sisters doing reprobate, degenerate things like being on a porn site or twerking or being half naked or saying and doing dumb shit or being ratchet, and then put the caption, "Is this your God?" That dumb trick will not work. I repeat, it will not work. For the God particle is on the Black woman's DNA. Yeah, that's right. So no matter what she says, does, acts like, puts her hair like, she is still God. Now, it is my speculation that when she's doing low vibration, degenerate, reprobate things, that her God particle is lessened. And when she is high vibration, natural, has knowledge of self, carries herself with respect and modesty, treats her other melanites with respect, then her God particle is stronger or potent. However, doesn't matter if she is a queen sitting on a throne or a stripper on the stripper pole, she is still God. So that little trick you fuckboys try on social media won't work here, and it won't work with any intelligent 9 ether. So I just wanted to put that out there. So let's get back into our story. Now, I'm not quite sure what happened before they got to the physical realm, but I do know that the gods either fell from heaven to the physical, or it's said that they were kicked out. I'm not sure. That's where they get the whole Lucifer from. And don't be afraid of Lucifer. It means the light bearer. The light is your soul. The light is the glow of your melanin. Of course, they always vilify things that's good for us, but that's bad for them, or that they don't have in their existence. So now she came through the crack of the glass dome. You need to know we're on a flat, motional, infinite plane. And if you don't know that, please go do your research into flat Earth. Research the dark rift or the great rift. This is a literal crack in the dome. So from my research, it is my speculation that this is where the gods fell in from. Now, the waters of heaven came down to meet the waters of earth. This is where the great flood came to be. Whether they had abilities to swim like fish and breathe on the water, I'm not sure. Just remember that all the lands were all fused together as one, surrounded by water, and then eventually the continents over time broke apart. Where did they land? They landed in Kush, in the region known as Ethiopia today. and it was all X chromosome melanites. Now, if you notice, I'm not mentioning Y chromosome melanites as of yet. So now they're in the physical, on the land, they're with nature and the animals, which was created before they got here, and their mission is to populate the earth. And they did so through parthenogenesis. Look at the Immaculate Conception story, because this is where they try to hide parthenogenesis, because Mary begat so-called Jesus through Immaculate Conception, which is code for parthenogenesis, or being able to self-conceive. This is a superpower that the melanated X chromosome gods had when they came here. They were first gods, and then they fell into a demigod state, which is partial god. However, they still had powers such as the ability to self-conceive. Also, yes, the X chromosome melanated gods have lost the ability to self-procreate, and she has fallen into a lower state and requires the Y chromosome to procreate. Note that the melanated X chromosome has a substance in her bone marrow to this day that is a similar substance. It has a similar makeup to semen. So what the gods did very wisely, because she knew she would fall into a lower state and would not be able to continue to self-procreate, is she stored semen in her bone marrow for a time, temporarily, until she would start to rise again back to her god state. She would retrieve it and continue to self-procreate using that substance. Now, it is my speculation that there are X chromosome melanites who can self-conceive to this day. There is a story about a woman in Uganda. She has 38 children, and the story goes that the father of her child took off. However, I think that that's a story about parthenogenesis, and that woman has the babies on her own and they're just hiding it. I'll play the clip for you now, and you can draw your own conclusions. They hide a lot of things from us, remember that.
y'abaana ana mu bana naye nga kati ssawazaalo nyinawo abaana abalamu 38. Bakanteeka munnaye nga eyagamba nti kasifiira ddala.
they could levitate, they could astral project, they could move objects with their mind, they could communicate with each other without words or sound. These are the superpowers that they had. And if you want to see what type of superpowers the X chromosome god had, watch the movie X-Men. All those superpowers that you see in the movies X-Men, those are the superpowers that the melanated gods have. So back to the story. They had multiple births. They had 5, 10, 15, 20 babies at a time. Yes, they did, because their reproduction was in hyperdrive. They knew that they had a period in which to populate the earth, and that's what they did. And they begot X chromosome melanated. They only had female babies. And so they continued to fall from the God state into the physical. And they knew that over time they would lose the ability to self-procreate. So eventually the babies started to morph from X chromosome to Y chromosome, which is the lower half of the X chromosome. It is lacking a piece, and that piece is a womb. It has nipples, but it doesn't have and will never have full-grown functional breasts. The reproductive organs are external. It's on the outside. The penis is the enlarged clitoris. And of course, this Y chromosome, cannot house a baby because it lacks a womb. The Y chromosome melanated is literally an atrophied female. It is the lower half of the god. It has a little tiny bit of residue of the god. However, it is not the full 360-degree X chromosome superior god from which he came. So now the gods are having the Y chromosome babies, and those Y chromosome babies, when they get older, traveling to far lands, and they are finding X chromosomes to be with because they were infused with the ability to be attracted to the opposite sex. His twin flame. At this point, he's not needed for reproduction because the gods are still self-procreating. So his role is to be the helper mate to the god. He is to assist, support, uplift, protect her in every way, shape, and form. Now, we did not have a polygamy society. We had a polyandry society. What that means is that the X chromosome melanated had many men that worked for her. She had one mate. That's it. Count it, one mate. He was assigned to mate with her when she lost the ability to self-procreate. He stayed by her side. He was the closest one to her. Next in line is the drone. The drone is the supervisor of the workers. And of course, we have many worker bees. Our society is meant to be the beehive. That's correct. Shocking, isn't it? No polygamy at this point. So the gods are falling lower and lower, and they're losing much of their superpower. They still have the ability to self-conceive. Let's fast forward to the days of Kemet. The Y chromosome are building monuments and statues to the gods, and they're building kingdoms and dynasties, and they're able to do a little superpower type stuff like move things with their minds. However, the gods infused in them the ability to be physical, so she had to create something for him so he would not be bored. She gave him sports and she gave him martial arts, and this is what he did because he was not needed as of yet to make a baby. At this point, she is still self-procreating. That is why Set begat Heru through parthenogenesis, and Asar is by her side because he is her helper mate. I just want to pause for a moment. If you're ever in any doubt that Black woman is God, let us look at the matrix. If you break the word into 3 parts, you get M-A-T-R-I-X. Let us look at M-A. M-A refers to Ma. It's the first word most babies say. And Ma means mama, the feminine. Okay. Tri, T-R-I. The 3 aspects of the feminine, the melanated feminine. Masculine aspect, feminine aspect, and spiritual aspect. And finally, we have the X, which represents her chromosome, which means feminine. woman, complete with a womb. So the matrix represents 3 parts of the God melanated X chromosome. Okay, so now the Y chromosome has, for some reason, ventured out into far lands, the Caucasus Mountains of Russia. Now here is where a little sketchy. I'm still researching because I don't know why it is that these Y chromosomes went ahead and created the Tamahu. However, we won't mince words about that. For all intents and purposes, magically here now our scientists created the Tamahu through gene splicing. They gave them animal genes: dog, cat, rat, jackal, which is an ancient dog. Okay, so the Tamahu was created. He was a Neanderthal. He's a very savage, sexing up the place, homosexual, lesbian, necrophilia, bestiality. He was a savage, flinging feces everywhere. So our people had to go back and redefine him through gene splicing and messing with the genome and shave off the fur, teach this creature how to walk upright and not sex everything in sight, and refine him down to the Tamahu that you see today, which are the Mongoloids, Asiatic Mongoloids, and Caucasoids. So now our society in Kemet is harmonious. We brought the world science, mathematics, agriculture, hygiene, technology of all kinds, healing. Everything that you use today was brought to you by X chromosome or Y chromosome melanites. That's correct. These savage, barbaric Neanderthals came into Kemet and they brought sexual deviant behavior like homosexuality, lesbianism, bestiality, pedophilia, raping, molesting, and they brought this to Kemet. Now, I need to pause for a moment because there are some fuckboys online. They go into groups and they put pictures of man and man having anal sex, or a statue of 2 male figures or 3 male figures having anal sex. First of all, those are fake pictures that they're trying to portray as ancient. Those are fake statues. But the fact that they would try that and look through many homosexual pictures, first of all, states that the person that's posting that is homosexual himself. How dare any Melanite want Kemet to originally start as homosexual? No, I'm sorry. That disgusting behavior was brought in by savages. So miss me with that bullshit. Okay, let's continue on. Since these savages have brought this disgusting behavior into Kemet, they're raping everyone and there's mulatto babies being born. Here now is the fall of Kemet, and Kemet is falling and the gods are losing more of their superpowers. In fact, the X chromosome melanated at this point, by the start of Kemet's destruction, was not able to self-procreate. It is my speculation that here starts her menstrual cycle, because it's known that any natural organic being that is in captivity will menstruate. If you do your research, lionesses do not menstruate when they're in their natural habitat. However, when they are in the zoo, that's when they start to lightly menstruate. So yeah, our sisters are under tremendous stress because we are still prisoners of war, not slaves. We were never ever slaves. We are still prisoners of wars. We are still oppressed. We're still carrying these babies with the burdens of the world on our shoulder, and hence why we have menstrual cycle. Now, some people say, oh, it's your diet, this and diet that. No, because I know people who are vegetarian, vegan, and who have heavy menstrual cycles. I also know carnivores who eat lots of meat, lots of junk food, and have light to sometimes missed cycles. So that little soundbite about what you eat is affecting your cycle to an extent, a very small extent, yes, but not entirely. So I just wanted to correct that very popular misconception. Back to the story. So let's get out of Kemet and let's just fast forward on to 2017. Now, as it was in our beginning, so shall it be in their end. Meaning, The gods that have fallen will rise again. This is what the whole Jesus Bible story is. You know, they're talking about this cracker on a cross and a thorn with blood coming down his face and how he was crucified and oh, one day he will rise. That is just a metaphor, allegory, simile. It's not a literal story. No such character such as Jesus or any male Messiah ever existed. So get that misconception out of your brain. In fact, there are certain things that I consider subtle homosexuality. I consider it to be subtle homosexuality when a male has another male as his idol or his leader or his messiah. So all you men that are dick riding Selassie, Bob Marley, any RBG leader that pumps his fist on the side of the road, any male Hebrew Israelite that's always reading from the Bible, this is subtle homosexuality. Y chromosome, you are supposed to be worshiping and honoring the X chromosome, melanite. She is God. So if you worship and follow and are a fanatic about any male, even in music, entertainment, that is subtle homosexuality. If you are a hip hop head and you spend hours and hours in the studios with the boys, you know, freestyling and very little time with women, that is subtle homosexuality. If you like going to sports games and hanging out with the boys all the time, in the bar, in the club, just you and the boys, you know, at home playing video games, you and the boys, that's subtle homosexuality. The X chromosome melanites and the Y chromosome melanites are twin flames. They should always be together. Now, my heart goes out to single melanites out there. You know, it's very tough. I completely get it. And it's very imperative that you find your twin flame as soon as possible because Y chromosome and X chromosome melanites need each other. And I should also add to you Y chromosome melanites, don't take this information as something to feel ashamed of or lesser or bad about. Take this information to empower yourself. It should be an honor that the gods need you, relies on you as her battery. It should be a privilege to know that you are God's helper mate. That is a very good thing. Of all the beings on the planet, you are God's helper mate. I mean, that is a very prestigious position and role to be in. And if you don't see it as such, well, you have low self-esteem, you have ego issues, and you still have patriarchal mentality. And those three things are very low vibration. You need to rid yourself of this patriarchal mentality and this ego, because those things are keeping your vibration low. You cannot rise if you are always going to be offended that Black woman is God, and she is God. And another thing I wanted to say to Y chromosome melanites, I highly suspect with good reason that you think if the X chromosome melanite is the ruler, if she's God, she's going to make your life a living hell and be a tyrant. Why do you think that? Because in this patriarchal society, men are tyrants to women. They think, oh, I'm the one that wears the pants. My last word goes and I know more. And they're very egotistical. So it's projection that the Y chromosome melanites are thinking that we gods, we X chromosomes, would be a tyrant to them because in their rulership, in this patriarchal society, it is the men who are tyrants to the women. So guess what? No, that is very incorrect. The X chromosome melanated is harmony. There's no harmony in being a tyrant. Things were harmonious when she was the leader and she was the god and she was sitting on her throne back in the days of old. So let that be your guide and stop having this misconception that we're going to be very boastful and bossy and arrogant. That these are not feminine traits. The X chromosome gods are not disharmonious like that. So please get that out of your mind. When the X chromosome god gains back her godly powers, is able to procreate through parthenogenesis so that she can get back to her godly state, She will bring harmony to everything, all the animals, the air, the earth, the land. Y chromosome, she will get rid of the parasites of the earth and the lower life forms of the earth. She will wash away everything and restore everything back to the Garden of Eden, because this place, when the gods first came here, was the Garden of Eden. Though when the cycle started to continue on, things started to fall and deteriorate, especially when the lower life form Neanderthal was introduced to society. So, and the lower life forms, they know their time is up. As I said in part 3 of the Mandela Effect videos that I did before this one, yep, their time is up. Their expiry date is about to come due. So, it's very imperative that the Y chromosome know their role when it comes to relating to the X chromosome melanated. And if you think that she is there to compete with in some way, shape, or form, then you're not getting it. Your vibration is low. You need to know that she is not your adversary. When it comes to anything, with the exception of physically lifting things, she will always be better because it's God. You're trying to compete with God. And when she becomes deeper and deeper into her God state, she will be perfection. You can't compete with her perfection, Y chromosome. You're lacking a piece. You're lacking a boom. And I'm not saying that to be funny or boastful. It's just what it is. Know your limits and work within it. Another thing too is, I mentioned at the beginning that the gods came from heaven and they were all X chromosomes. Sorry to break it to you, but there are no Y chromosomes in heaven. You came out of our womb here in the physical, and this is where you will stay. When the cycle proceeds and continues on, either you will become extinct, or when the gods wash everything away, you will not ascend into heaven. So sorry to have to break that to you. It is what it is at the end of the day. This whole physical realm is an illusion, and it's a toxic, low vibration realm, and it needs to be reset, restored. It needs to be cleansed of the parasites that's in it, and it needs to be transformed again to the Garden of Eden. This is what the new cycle is going to be like, as it was in the beginning. If you look at the symbol of the Ankh, there is a misconception that it represents the womb and the phallus. It does not. The entire thing represents the feminine. The circle is the womb, the two extending sticks to the side are her fallopian tubes, and the long one is the vaginal canal. The entire Ankh represents the X chromosome, melanated, feminine. Sorry again to break it to you, Y chromosome. Okay, so I'm about to wrap up. I know this was a lot for you to take in, and I may not be 100% accurate. However, based on the current story of how we came into existence and how the lower life form came to into existence, my retelling of the story is far more closer to being accurate and factual than any garbage that's in any health book or any Bible or on any television show or in a documentary or online somewhere. So I think, based on what I have gathered, it sounds very logical, very scientific, very plausible, very realistic. It resonates with me. I'd love to hear your feedback on all that I just stated. Please do leave a comment below. And don't forget to subscribe. I'm going to wrap up now. I'm not sure what my next topic next week will be. Every Sunday I do release a new video. So that's it for now. This is Trinity Goddess saying to my 9 Ether Nation, oneness.